Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have a bit of a quasi-community cast here. It's a game that was played by your W-2 form, which of course I always recommend filling out, against the privates Chi, and then I can't read the rest of that, I do apologize. And part of this game, the first part, maybe the first half or so, W-2 is playing on his own, and then the second half I actually popped into the Discord, and he streamed, and I sort of provided some suggestions. So we'll see how that goes, and it was a really good fight, knockdown, drag-out fight. If you like fights like these, please don't hesitate to leave a like, share, subscribe. The channel has been struggling just a bit, as I have said a couple of times, I think recently, down about 40-50% from last month, which is quite a change. So anything that you guys can do there can help me out quite a lot. So it looks like W2 is opening into Gregory, and also sort of everywhere. So we have a lot going over into Feder, we have a small amount going into Boris, and I think this is a big temptation in 1v1 maps. I mean, it's something I do as well, where you want to cover everything with a significant force. The problem is that this leaves some things insufficiently covered. So we have the M84AN and double M91A VHOR, which is a absurdly expensive investment, and if the AN dies, this is not going to be able to see, let alone shoot. More to the point, it's not really anything that has any chaff in the way of it, so everything that's shooting back will be shooting at these high-value targets instead of something like reservists or other similar cheap units that you don't really care about. And yes, we get a couple of good kills there, W2 as he goes forward, and sniping Vabs is certainly a good thing. But here it comes, yeah. So these were, I believe, Milan F3s. Yeah, lots of damage coming in there, every single shot, 3 apiece. And of course the M91A VHOR can take that for quite a bit. It does have a very high frontal armor value at 22. The M84AN really cannot, so a little bit of luck there that he stayed alive. Also good smoke micro, extending that forest, making sure that his opponent couldn't really take those out. But I think a little bit extra chaff here would have been able to do wonders. And one way that you can do that is take, if you want 2 tanks, you can take the M91s, not the M91As, or you can take just a single M91A and put 170 more points on the ground, and that's several double squads of reservists and other such units. So there is a big investment over here from Chi on this side, Commandos Pera, Fallschirmjäger 90, Vab, CPZ Fuchs, and quite frankly, the way that I play this map, which I'm not sure if it's really good or bad or sort of in the middle, probably in the middle, is I ignore the left side within reason, right? Like, I don't want to lose it completely, and you can see the Granatieri there are a pretty light investment. Once you see this, get some recon over here and then call it a day, because if you can really take through the square forest and go through Boris, then your opponent can't really do much with that flank. Yeah, I mean, he can zone you out a little bit in Feder, maybe, but you can sort of make up for that by, if you have a forward presence in Gregory, cutting off his reinforcements down this side, right? So just like he's pressuring into your side in Feder, you're zoning out much of Gregory, and especially if you take this section, then what does it matter if he has over here? He still can't get any units into Feder to actually cap. So that's how I like to do it, but I am still probably middling skill at this game, and my recommendations are, of course, not anything approaching the law of how to best handle these maps. So I just do what I can, and we go from there. M84AN does take it right in the face from that Milan F3, and that's going to be a dead tank. Really unfortunate, you needed those eyes in that section. Now we have 2 blind M91As. Mechanizovna being pushed up, trying to distract away, which is a good idea, and actually we could see right there that those 2 infantry units on the left were 2 strength, which means they're weapons teams. I mean, we already knew that because they're firing ATGMs, but yeah, it's good to have confirmation. I don't think this was a ranked game, by the way. I think it was just on a public match. And you can see Chi has capped his 2-pointer at Sheraton. That needs to be counter-capped here in center. So whenever your opponent has a +1, it's going to be 15 points per minute, which really isn't that bad. But you double that, 30 points a minute, 10 minutes go by, and your opponent is over half the way to winning on points, which is just way too fast. But BVP's rushing a Tiger. I love to see the moxie there, I guess. BVPs can take down helicopters very quickly, but the Tiger can also kill the BVPs. Actually, I wonder what would have happened if they'd snuck a little bit closer to the sort of ridge there and denied the Tiger his line of sight. But the Sava moves up, and that takes it down, so a very nice kill on the Tiger, sort of getting W2 definitely a bit of an edge, I think, on kills at this point. The VHORs have been relatively successful. Most of the stuff that W2 has lost has been chaff. But this is interesting. Thermomig being fired at by Roland 3. but does get out. Yeah, 2 rolling 3s there would have secured it, and the Milan F3s move back. So this is nice zoning. The Milan F3s being forced to move out of the town is a really good thing. It just doesn't, I mean, it didn't get the kill on them either, so I wonder if you could have done that and then got the Prom shooting on their last known position. This, the Prom S can really mess up infantry in the open, especially fragile weapons teams, with its 5 HE power, and then we have the M91s moving up blind again. So this is a bit challenging, right? Like this is, let's see, let's actually take a look if Chi has spotted this. Yeah, so they're both spotted. They're both presenting side armor to the blue 4 air spawn. So if this were me playing the blue, I would have bought something cheap like a Peace Rhine, come in and gotten 70 points on the return, plus paying for itself right away with one of these 2 tanks. Just easy as that. And that's a really big risk. If you're going to go in the open like that, you need optics and you need smoke. So this point in the game is looking a little bit rough. Okay, well, it is and it isn't, right? Because Boris is still, there's a large presence here. Mechanizovna fighting really far forward and getting a couple kills and some progress, which is good. That's really good, because this is pulling away attention from Gregory and from Feder, which those sections need a little bit of a relief valve right now just to get more units on the field. Snezka's moving up as well, just trying to replace that recon, which is very nice. I like the Snezka quite a bit. I think 4 frontal armor for 30 points, I wouldn't buy it as a fire support vehicle, but with good optics and the 2A42 autocannon, it definitely, I think it's exactly what you'd expect from a 30 point. I don't know if I'm underselling it or overselling it, but that's my evaluation here. Just, I'm never thinking that the Snezka is just the clutch buy that you could make, but I'm always happy with it when it comes out. So it gives you good optics, it lets your tank shoot, and it can defend itself against things like Panthers, although usually if it's in the woods first. So Leopard 2 is moving over this way, and a Gepard moving over this way. I have to wonder what that's about. I would also make the observation that a couple of Milan teams, one maybe here, one maybe there, and that column would have gotten side-shotted by ATGMs, which would be absolutely brutal. These guys, of course, are 80 points apiece. So taking those out, taking out the Gepard, taking out your opponent's tools is always a good thing. Mechanizovna, by the way, Snezka, Graniciari, this side is just fine. There's no reason to spend anything else there. We're going to speed up just a bit as we get into the mid-game here. Leopard 2s will crush the Snezka if they can see him. So the only hope for this guy is to stay not spotted, which it looks like Chi is also pushing without recon. So right now he is not spotted here with the Snezka. If there was recon infantry with that push, the Snezka would be spotted. Even recon vehicles at this point. I mean, I think the Leopard 2s are right there in that section of trees. Let's take a look. Yeah, okay, there they are. That's probably going to be firing at the Gepard, getting the kill, very nice. And then the Vihors will trade very well into Leopard 2s. So I do also want to say I really like this smoke wall. He's trying to deny, plus with the Thermomig, any sort of ATGMs on the Vihors, which will be spotted. Here comes the Peace Rhine. Yeah, that's going to be pretty rough. Gets 1 hit, 2 hits. So click. The second one is on frontal armor, which means the Peace Rhine won't get the kill, and the Sava gets the kill on the way out. That exchange right there is amazing. That exchange right there, if I was playing as W-2, I would be really happy with my chances now in this match, because that's a really good return on investment, and killing all of those units over there on the left is going to put you ahead on the board. So now you just got to take advantage of it. You got to capitalize on it. You got to get units forward, shift that front line forward. Whenever you have a points advantage, just go, because usually attacks into equal forces will cost you a lot. Attacks into inferior forces will often return a lot of value, because on the one hand, they can't really kill that much of your stuff, and on the other, if you get through their, well, relatively fragile remaining front line, then you can do a lot. So let's take a look here at what she has. Peace Rhine, of course, coming in. Yeah, I mean, Commandos Para, PGS, a little bit redundant, and you can see those are getting shot at reasonably effectively here. But if there was just chaff going into Gregory right now, Mechanizovna, any sort of infantry on the ground, you could take this section and push in, killing the Commandos Para, killing these expensive and low availability Milan teams, and that would make up for the return on maybe 5 double squads of Mechanizovna dead. So you take the board position, you get the kills, it would be a very good thing. Mirage 5F also being taken out, but a nice bombing run there. Yeah, decent placement, just removing chaff from the board. Fair enough. No arguments with that. And then we have just continuing combat over here, so let's speed up just a little bit. Again, Fallschirmjäger will win the long fight against Mechanizovna, and especially when supported by a Panther, who admittedly is getting a little too close. It's really tricky to line up helicopters in towns like that. It's just, you don't have a lot of great options for getting their guns online, particularly the snap, like rocket pod sort of stuff. That does have, I think, a minimum range, and even then, just it's very difficult to get that angle right. So, Feder has been capped, Center has been capped, W2 is ticking +1 right now, but a little bit of a ways to go here, needing about 15 minutes just to pop even with his opponent. A cap in Boris would make that a +2 and really crank up the pressure, which probably would have been my buy here at the moment. I don't know if that's the same Thermomeg, it could be. Yeah, that very well could be. And it's not like that's bad if you can get it for free. Otherwise, your plane's just sitting there. And of course, the center is more risky. 10 Ps being taken out is very good. 15 points apiece, and being taken out by line infantry is quite nice. That does give return on investment on all the Mechanizovana. And that sort of cost effectiveness is crucial. Crucial stuff in forest grinds. So, Proletary 90, of course, even better at killing those vehicles. But now that they have mostly been killed, it's going to be a little bit interesting seeing what they deal, how they deal with hordes of chasseurs. Especially because we already have seen 50-point bombers from the Blue 4 Private, which would be a very cost-effective way of taking these guys out. So if he sees them, sends in the Mirage, gets both the kills, that pays for the 50-point bomber right there, and then you can just keep on going. Yeah, no, this is nice. The Proletary definitely getting return on investment, pulling over more chasseurs from Anna. Leopard 2 is going to make that a bit challenging, and then I do like the split attention here from the Blue 4 player. So he's doing stuff in Anna, he's moving forward in Gregory. Now is the time to do it. Let's see, double Thermomig. Okay, there were two coming in, and that's going after reservists. It's also going after the town again. I think a little bit behind the enemy forces. He's very clearly expecting that, and had a nice move out to dodge it, so you can't always do a lot about that. L17K versus Mirage, that's kind of goofy. But with the stun, yeah, that's a 100-point plane kill. No damage on the Peace Shrine, evac ordered. I love this, when planes dive through and pass the... oh, jeez. Okay, yeah, no, that's dead. That's very dead. I think this is about the time where I started coming in, maybe in a couple of, well, about a minute or so, and I think left to his own devices, W2 still would have won this game very well. There's been some nice cost-effective trading. He really just needs to cap those two zones. And we're just going to see what we can do to make that just that little bit more effective if we can. Of course, W2 and I, he also goes by Core, I believe, he's been on the channel quite a bit, very good person to play with, and like most wargamers I know, including myself, tends to underestimate his own skill. It's a common theme, I guess, to do that. I mean, I think what it's born from is seeing the truly amazing players and realizing you're not on that level, and then even when you have wins, you're sitting there going, but I made so many mistakes, right? And so it makes it hard to take the good with the bad, because even when you're making improvement, even when you're having really good games, you think to yourself the last time that's Lieutenant Colonel or Brigadier General just smacked you like it was nothing. And it gets tricky. So here I would have loved to see the M82A turned off, killing those AMX vehicles. I think would have been very nice to get just a little bit more return on investment with those guys, and then pulling the Shilo back is a good maneuver. So just more padding here. Proletary 90 without line infantry I think is a little bit risky, just in case there are vehicles and or bombers or mortars, supporting elements that will take those out. And so this, right now, it looks like the Blue 4 player is almost gathering a bit of steam, because there's a pushback in Gregory, there's a pushback in Boris. Moving these guys, the 91 AV horse back was under my suggestion, because I think, having lost the left-hand side, it's really going to be a lot easier to push into Gregory. So he's pulling them back, we're going to be moving them up and around, and then also just getting a lot more on the ground. So you can see the T72Ms and the Pinscour just going up. We're going to go into Boris with those. And basically what we're planning for is an attack into the weird L forest in Gregory, basically from the right and from the square forest at the same time. So you move through here, you move through there, you smoke off the town, and usually that tends to be pretty decent from what I've seen. It's actually one of my favorite ways of attacking that section, so we'll see how that goes. And Rima 85, yeah, I mean, losing this triangle for right now is fine, because everything that they invest there is expensive, and it's not going to be preparing them for what we have brewing over in Gregory if we can make that go. Also CV buy on Boris, just because we do need that +1 tick. Right now, very slim victory margin. If the Blue 4 player was to cap Gregory, we were to cap Boris, and then even if there was a counter cap in Gregory, that's a +1. we're getting to the point in time where you might start needing more than that in order to really do well. So getting the cap in Boris is crucial at this point in the game, just to make things a little bit less, oh goodness gracious, within 5, 10, 15 conquest points at the end of the game. So don't ignore tech. When you're playing Conquest like this is, play the game mode, right? So I can't tell you how many games I've won down on points, down on board position at the end, my opponent taking +1, +2, but they cannot make up for the original difference in points. It's a little weird to think about, but it can win you the game oftentimes. So here are the Proletariat 90 doing very, very well. I'll also with the OAT M60 PBs just have insane burst fire damage. Unfortunately, that one silo did go down, or Shiloh, I guess, did go down. But this is nice too. So the T-72Ms are comparatively cheap, 55 points each, and they do have more than enough AP power to deal with AMX-13 BTTs at close range. But I mean, at the same time, this is going right in after that new shiny command vehicle. Oh geez, Sneska versus Leopard? Yeah, no. He could shoot as long as the Leopard's front armor wasn't facing, but it's getting a little bit more difficult here. Pulling the Proletariat... Oh no, BVP Vidra did work. Very nice. Yeah, this defense is crucial, and the firing computer reset's probably one of the worst crits you could get at this point on this defense. But here comes the Thermomig, 1, 2, and I think he's going to block off, let's see... Oh, lots of friendly fire there, but excellent position, just blocking that advance completely, and then blocking off the down the ramp here as well, so isolating the remaining blue 4 units, and unfortunate piece runs, unfortunate. Yeah, well, so a couple things. One, Boris has been held for right now, even if only barely. And unfortunately for us, the attack on Gregory that W-2 and I were talking about is going to be delayed because the T-72Ms have to defend here. There needs to be more chaff here as well. And then with the pressure into Boris, this needs attention right now. If the Blue 4 player takes Boris, then this is going to be a hard fight to win. It really would be. So, Prom S's, 3 of them coming in here and just using that 5 HE power to really just get a lot of good kills, hopefully anyway, or a lot of good stuns. A little bit behind, so whenever you see infantry moving forward like that, they are never where you think they are, they're always a little bit ahead. So, with the mortars coming in, the Fallschirmjäger are already up here into the woods, and then I think there was another response from W2 as soon as, no, okay, L19, and then M91 Vihors are moving up on this side a little bit after they would have hoped for, and we still haven't been able to get forces on the ground. But a reposition here, pulling that command vehicle out, making sure it doesn't get killed in Boris before we can get more troops on the ground. And we still have 18 minutes. We only need about 10 or so at +1 to tie, a little bit over that to win. So there's still a lot of potential here, especially with the 2 M91A Vihors alive and healthy. It just, I don't know, there's so much potential in super heavy tanks to really just drive forward, but they're such expensive tools. Yep, here's what I'm talking about as well. So Thermomigs coming in, Fallschirmjäger 90 already there, and 1, 2 bombs, both behind the target. Which that really sucks because these guys are expensive. They're high performance, 35 points each. Panzerfaust 3, Lichte MG3, and if that napalm had sort of been more 1, 2, covering the whole verticality, then the Fallschirmjäger would have been in a lot worse of a position. But M91A Vihors moving back up into square. We are prepping to do this right now. More units on the ground coming up, and the whole time we were in chat talking together, I was just sitting there going, okay, get more infantry, get more infantry on the ground right now. And we have another little interesting case study here. So this Iltis KDOW is capping Gregory, giving Chi a +1, but it's spotted. And you have a couple options. The M91A Vihor could pop out, or we could go in with the Promises and shoot. And the interesting thing is, the Promises I think are the worst choice here. If you're inside of tank range against something like a Jeep CV, just take the tank shot. It's 5 strength, you're going to get the kill, and depending on your luck or lack thereof with the Promises and exactly where you click, you risk having your opponent know that it's spotted and moving away, which is exactly what it's doing now. So that CV is still alive, and he's going to retreat him into the smoke. We don't know exactly where. Which, that's hard. That's very hard. Because now he's going to recap Gregory. We've missed the opportunity to get a 100-point kill and make, well, deny our opponent +1, put him 100 points down. Just a lot of good right there. So, the M91A Vihors, if they popped over just to here and then back, would have been able to get the kill there. Not too much trouble at all. And we're going to do the same thing just to prove the point. Right now, these Milan F3s are trying to move up across open ground. These Vihors are going to just use their tank guns pop over and shoot them. Also with the Granatiati moving left to make sure they get line of sight. There is a little bit of a tricky section of forest. You can actually go about right here or right there with recon infantry and get a little bit more vision. There goes the Milan F3. And it's been plaguing us all game, and the mortars firing in, definitely applying good pressure here, but we need to get a cap back into Boris as soon as possible. Now you can see the power of these Mechanizovana and the 60 PBs chewing through Chassol like it was nothing, also anchored by that singular tank still remaining, and Boris is relatively safe again. With this done, well, done for right now, there has to be movement on Gregory immediately. So we have, of course, 15 minutes, 16 minutes possible left in this game, but widening the gap right now with Chi's command vehicle doing good work there. And then this was interesting as well. So the Blue 4 player actually moved through the smoke here with, I think they're dead now, but went in to attack the Vihors. Didn't really work, but interesting to see nonetheless. And I gotta say, I mean, this sort of situation, to me, looks like you have it in the bag. And I think we should have been feeling pretty confident about it at the time, because if you can just get enough chaff here, which I've been saying for the last 15 minutes, so well, no, 10 minutes almost, then it's so hard to push you out of the square forest without things like cluster, without things like artillery, that the Blue 4 player really hasn't been using. And you wouldn't necessarily expect out of France. They do have options, of course, with the, well, no, well, this is I suppose. Of course it is, Euro course. They do also have the Mars and a couple other options there. So I mean, they have options, but it looks like a nice decap on Gregory right there. Back to a +1 for W2, and with infantry finally arriving, I think. Yeah, I mean, this is it's just tough. This has been a trial of quantity versus quality for the whole time, and the fact that both the AV cores are alive is proof that quality does have a lot of edge, a lot of good that it can do. So, Mechanizovana on this side, M84AN, T72M here, Proletary, and I don't know. This, it's surprising sometimes different decks play very, very differently, and some can throw out endless chaff and some don't. Whenever I play as Entente, I try to take Reservist, and actually most decks I try to take Reservist, just because the issue of chaff would have been resolved for 60, 80 points a long time ago. And if you're bringing things like Mechanizovana in Oats, that's what, 20 points per, so 40 for the double squad, or Proletary 90 in Oats, that's 35 points each, 70 for the double squad, and that's 2 instead of 8 units. But there is another push in here by Chi, just trying to go right down the pipe after that command jeep, and this is going to be handled pretty well. And you can see, he is using reservists, they're getting chewed through, but they are providing meat. So just think about how long it takes for all of that firepower to get them, and then think about the firepower that we have with the M91A Vihors. All of that is time where the Vihors, oh man, sometimes ATGMs just don't do what you want. All of that is time where the Vihors could be pushing in and getting kills. So here it is. Snezka's moving up, M60PB is moving up, Mechanizovana leading the way, smoke across the town, just like we said earlier on, and the M84AN Vihor, M84AN up to provide some recon with a gun on top of it, because why not? And if we can get over into the town there, if we can get into the L Forest, then Gregory is going to be really, really tough for the Blue 4 player to hold. We can pop it maybe even into a +2. I think there has not quite yet been a command vehicle by... Yeah, no, those should be more Granatiati. Yeah, look at this. This is great. This is amazing. M84AN on that side, M84AN on this side, Vihors over here. The Triangle Forest, by the way, I think... Yeah, so that was a nice thermobag for sure. Rolling 3 there, but it can't really defend against this because the Leopard 2s are too far up, they're out of position. A couple of ATGMs here would have really punished that Triangle Forest play as well. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, it goes both ways there, but let's see. AV Horde's alive. Peace Rhine, I suppose, probably from the Blue 4 player. But it does take him out of commission for a little bit. So let's see, Mechanizovana, Snezka's, Odom 60BBs. This is good. We just need to spot that command vehicle and kill it. So the M84AN needs to come up. We need to get... There it is. And, yep, tank shots, dead CV. And that was from farther away than we had the opportunity to earlier on. So that's a decap. +1 now with 12 minutes left. We do need a +2. Yeah, otherwise it would be a tie, I think. So there needs to be a cap into Gregory. We need to also make sure that Boris does not get counter-capped, which is a big concern when you don't hold the top of the forest here. So, of course, the Blue 4 player can move down, can get into that forest, can push through, but even if they don't push through, they can just hold right up here and get a command vehicle, often command tank into Boris that way. It can be really, really tough to deal with. But I think, yep, with the edge out and Triangle Forest as well, That gives space M84AK, which of course is the Yugoslavian 170-point command tank, and this made it. So watch this Leclerc right here. It gets distracted by Mechanizovna, it gets distracted by a 5-point box, and I mean, decent armor on this guy, 21 frontal armor, 22 AP, 12 rounds per minute. It's a very scary tank, but we have 1, 2, 3, both the M91As and the M84AN. Of course, the leading one is a bit damaged, which is risky, but let's see. And 1, jeez, look at that. 2, and 3, dead Leclerc. These guys survived, they got the 10 RC, we have the capping Gregory, that's going to be a +2, and this is now well in hand. So with 10 minutes, that's going to be 300 points that W2 can put on the board. That's well and away a win, nearly 400 points potential here, and I mean, everything, so much stuff in this section is dead. There's a single unit of BGS. The Blue 4 player can't get down into the L Forest here because of the position. I only wish there had been more in the L Forest right now for W2, just some more cheap infantry there to scout and force, and this was kind of goofy, the attack on the Triangle Force again, just no safe place to hide there, which is going to cause the Blue 4 player to concede. So, very nicely played to W2, happy to do a community cast-ish, I guess, again, and look at the imbalancing kills, 2710 versus 1365. And for all that, the Blue 4 player still did have a very nice presence in the game on the front line until really late in the game. And yeah, I mean, a lot of those kills happened later on in the push into Gregory, but a fair disparity was there previously, and the reason you didn't feel it, in my opinion, is just not enough chaff on the front line to really make that line move forward without a lot of risk. So, M91A Vihor alive the whole game, did wonderfully well. Leopard 2s, of course, Leclerc, very nice, lots of Chasseur and AMX 10Ps, just really great job there from both the M91As from W2. Only the one got the Leclerc, I suppose, but this one still did pretty nice work. And then, I mean, Mechanizovna, double Flux, double 10P, Chasseur 85, that's an amazing line infantry performance out of that, not something you'd expect all the time. And I guess I'd like to point out the value on that Mechanizovna in a good position versus the value on the Thermomig. Very different price tags, Mechanizovna at 10 points, Thermomig at, I believe, 125 or 135 points for that plane, and the Fallschmiegers are nice, Chasseurs 85 are nice, double reservist, small on F3. It's a fair list of kills, but it does not compete with the ratio from line infantry utilized correctly and able to get their guns online and shooting and just be really impactful. Of course, not every line infantryman will do that, but a fair number will. So that's going to be the game. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.